Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how I used WeWeb MCP along with Mobbin and Paper to design and implement a new pop-up to upload new images to my WeWeb project. So in this video we are going to cover three main things. The first one will be searching for references using Mobbin, then we're going to use Paper to validate the design, and finally we're going to implement all of this inside of WeWeb. So let's get started. So as a context, I already have a few things designed in my project. I already have a pop-up, but I'm still using Mobbin to search for references about a specific use case of a file upload organized in a grid specifically for images. And what's great about Mobbin is that I can just prompt what I want and it will give me back a lot of examples I can quickly look at. And from what it gave me back, what I really liked is the Airbnb one because it really looked like what I had in mind and it kind of looked like what I already had in my project. So I'm going to use that and I'm going to bring it inside of Paper. So you can see that in my Paper project, I already have a reference from an existing pop-up in my project. And I did that so that when Claude creates the design inside of Paper, it will already have a sense of how my pop-ups look like and it can match it so that all of my pop-up will have the same design. So you'll see that it will have the same header, same footer, and he will take the reference from Airbnb to create the file upload in the middle. And from that, I just had to tweak it a little bit to match what I really wanted on this design. So now that we've validated the design, all that's left is bringing this inside of WeWeb. So I'm using the WeWeb MCP to start the implementation. I already had a file upload component that I could use that matched the behavior that I wanted, so I used that. And I also identified that since we are talking about images linked to points inside of my map, I knew that I had to create an endpoint in order to manage files for my project. So I also identified that inside of the prompt so that it can go a little bit faster on that end. So you can see when Claude is working, you can see where he's looking at using the different MCP tools, and that comforts me that he's using the right tool, like to check the backend, to check the different pop-ups that I have or the different components that I have, and that's going to be useful for this implementation. So now that the implementation is done, what we can do is go inside of the web editor and test if it's working. So as I'm opening the pop-up, we can see there's a bit of spacing issues, but we can go back and fix that later. But what's important for me now is to test that the logic is well implemented. To do that, instead of using directly the submit button, I want to go more in detail and see exactly how the logic is working. So I'm going inside of the workflow editor to see all of that. So I'm testing the workflow and I'm seeing all of the different logic that my workflow is taking, the different branches, and we can also see the log of each action. For this case where I'm just adding new photos, it seems like it's working. We have my images that are added to my points and everything is green, everything is great. And we can see that the image are added to the slider, so everything's perfect. And now we need to test if the deletion of images is working or not. This time I'm going to use the form directly using the preview mode, and as I hit the submit or the save button, we can see that we have an internal server error. So now we need to fix this. So to have a clear idea of what went wrong, again I'm going to the workflow editor to see which action is failing. And we can see that it's on the removal of photos. So the delete multiple file is an API endpoint that was created by the MCP, and we can see it's failing at the first action. So now that I have a clear idea of what went wrong, I'm just going back to Claude and tell him to look at the logs and try to fix the errors. And when I look at the messages, I can see if he's going in the right direction based on the error we found inside of the WeWeb editor. And that's what I really like about this approach. He found the log and he diagnosed it and he's now trying to fix this. So after that, I'm going to try again and see if indeed the bug was fixed. So we can see as we go back In the editor, it was all green because WeWeb actually burned the test and tried it on its own, but we're going to try it again using the preview mode. So I'm hitting save again. So now it's closing, and we can see that on the debug panel on the left, we see no error popping and that the slider was updated. So everything is great. So now that we've validated that the logic is all working well, we need to fix some design issues that we've identified at the beginning. So I'm going to fix the spacing. I'm going to do that using the editor because I already have all my design system, all my tokens, and it's only a few clicks. What I also wanted to implement for this file upload component is that when the workflow is running, it can last a few seconds, and during those few seconds, I don't want the user to be able to click on the file upload again to add new files. I want to disable this component, so I'm adding this property to it so that we have this disable state with the lower opacity. I'm just doing a final test. Here we are, we have this pop-up fully implemented and fully designed in WeWeb. So that was the WeWeb MCP in action. So we went from a Mobbin reference along with the context of my project to a fully implemented pop-up with a file upload inside. The MCP did the heavy lifting by building the workflow and the design, and we used the editor at the end to tweak some little things on the design to really match our vision. So I really like this approach of doing the 80% of the implementation using the MCP, along with all the context and the research that we do before that, and going inside of the editor to do the 20% left to tweak it a little bit. So I hope that was useful to see how those different tools can work together, and follow along as I release more video about it. See you on the next one. Bye.